Hi everyone, it's Nicole. Welcome back to my channel and another paper crafting video tutorial. Today we are going to be creating some super adorable Easter candy baskets using pretty pink Posh dies. These baskets were completely created from paper utilizing March 2025 release products with the previously released treat box die. So here you see the treat box die, and I have die cut a piece from that will serve as the base. Basically, I looked for a die in my set that would be appropriate or would work as a base to adhere the candy bucket dies to. So that is what we're doing because part of the new March release is the Easter bucket die add-ons. Now that means that the bucket dies, the candy bucket dies came out, I believe, last either August or September. And there have been additions since then, like Valentine's Day, and now we are adding to those with some Easter additions with a chick, a bunny, and a little sheep. These baskets would make great little treats for friends, kiddos, maybe class parties, for preschool classes. They could be used as table decorations, kind of like at each place setting if you wanted to, all kinds of fun things. They actually hold quite a bit more than what you think. These treat boxes are super cute. So I'm going to start with the little chick, and I am going to go ahead and die cut this from some lemon Simon Says Stamp cardstock, which it's a really nice light yellow and to me serves as a great base. I don't know what it is, but these kinds of light yellow cardstocks tend to not be my favorite. However, they are my favorite for being able to ink blend on because it serves as a great base where you're not having to apply color to the whole white, like a whole white cardstock piece. I use Zest and Honey positively saturated ink to add ink around the edges using small detail blending brushes. And then I'm taking the pastel pink Simon Says Stamp ink, and I am using a small detail blending brush to add little pink cheeks. We used nutmeg ink for the beak on our bird, and then we're going to go back to our Zest and our honey inks for the wings of our chick. These pieces for the chick in particular, I am applying along the front edge of the candy bucket. That's kind of how they're made to be used. Now, when I say made to be used, that means if you want to make it look like the chick is sticking in the bucket, you can. You can really use this in a lot of different ways. I also think you could use this without the bucket itself. Now the bunny elements and the sheep elements are going to be a little bit different because there's not like a base quote unquote face for those. You definitely could create your own or use those elements with other sets to be super creative. These pieces from the add-on do not have to be used with the candy bucket itself. Look at them in other creative ways. But in this case, we are, of course, using the candy bucket. And I'm applying the chick and the wings to the front of this bucket piece. Now, I chose the treat box die as my base for this because the candy bucket will stick slightly past that. And we are going to need a front and the back of the bucket to make this stand up or stand up in the way that I want it to look, which we'll talk about in a minute. I am using the new grass border, and I am using a little teal ink to add some depth and dimension because we want to fill our bucket with some grass and then fill it with either eggs, jelly beans, flowers, carrots. We have all of those options in this set, which I absolutely love. The grass border is going to be quite a bit longer than our bucket, of course, so I'm just going to snip that off. You can tell that I didn't worry too much about making the bottom edge of this perfect either. Because the candy bucket is going to be slightly shorter than the treat box, I am filling in that area to help disguise the fact that the treat box, kind of to disguise the fact really that I'm using the treat box as the base for this. If you are creative, you could also cut cardstock to make a little box piece to fit back behind here. I've seen that done for other die sets as well, but this works as a really great base and is another great way to use this treat box. I'm going to include here another video as well as link it here at the end of another way to use this treat box die. It's been one that I've used in the past before and I absolutely love it. I'm now applying some ink to these eggs. This particular basket, I opted to do an assortment, of the eggs that come in this set as well as the jelly beans. I did try to keep the amount of die sets that I am using for this project to a minimum. It is the candy bucket base, the treat box, and then the new Easter bucket add-ons or additions. That is it for these sets. And then of course I'm using cardstock and embellishments and inks from my stash. These are all like the treat box and the candy bucket are great basics to have in your stash because then you can use those when new add-ons come out or new ideas arise, new seasons, all of that good stuff. So really the only new set in this project today is the Easter bucket add-ons. I love these jelly beans as well. And again, please keep in mind, all of these things could be used without the candy bucket or the treat box. They are adorable on the front of cards. You can make the bunny face, sheep face, and the little chick all on their own in different fun ways. They're nice big sizes as well, so lots and lots of fun ways to utilize. Now you might notice I am assembling the front of our candy bucket first, tucking in the eggs and the jelly beans. This is going to be something I do for all three. I found it easier to kind of start flat, if you will, and build the candy bucket. And I hope this also helps you visualize being able to take this image that we're building here, and at this point you could create a cute little background and put this right onto a card rather than the treat box if you're needing more cards rather than a dimensional project. Everything about this could be replicated for a card. You can add a fun little Easter or springtime sentiment and you're good to go. So I am assembling my treat box here. I love to use the reverse tweezers to help glue the sides. I do like the liquid glue for this because I feel like it holds a lot better. Once dry, we're good as gold. So the front of the treat box, it almost looks like a fry box, is bigger than the front is shorter, than the back. So the back is going to stick up a little bit, but it doesn't really bother me. Now, because I am gluing the treat bucket to the bottom, I felt like we really needed to have one on the front and the back because I want to use the handles and make it look kind of more like an Easter basket. So I went ahead and glued one onto the back. It doesn't serve much of a purpose really, other than to help give it more of a balanced look, help it stand up better, and just help with the overall look and appeal of the Easter basket. You probably could leave it off if you don't want to add that, but I do like having the little the little handle on the front and the back. And once the basket is filled full of goodies, like I would put a little bit of the little fake grass in there and some candies or little treats, you will never notice. So I am taking the little bow. This bow also comes from this set. And for this particular basket, because the height, there's nothing really impeding this, I am going to put the bow right here up at the top. Just gonna get that where I want, kind of position it, and here's how our basket's looking. Now, our poor little chick needs some eyes for sure. There is a die that comes in this that helps you make eyes if you want to make them from paper, and it's not super teeny tiny small like some, but I always take this as an opportunity to use some onyx pearls. I love the dimensional eyes, and this is an instance where using the largest sized pearls from the set actually comes in handy. I do talk about this a lot when I'm card making and making other critters and using the smaller sizes for eyes. Those are the sizes I always tend to use for those things, but these are such a nice substantial size. You can use the big ones, and I love that. I love that I can utilize them that way and that they're the perfect size for this. I'm now going in and adding some white highlights, just a few here and there to dress up and add some detail to the images on our cute little Easter basket. How adorable is this? Now, it probably would have been easier to do this step when the panel was flat. However, I didn't think of it, so we're doing it now. I'm just adding in all of these little white highlights. I'm having to be a little careful with it. Oh, I just love it. I think it's so sweet and cute. Next, I had originally thought I might use this yellow, but we're actually going to use white for our bunny bucket. I am going to use some fog color ink, to ink up the white bunny basket. This is going to be very, very subtle, but it is going to add some depth and dimension to our bunny. I do not want to turn my entire bucket gray, so I am being very conscious to use a light hand and a very light color of ink. Even though I'm using this fog and it's a little darker when applied, like all dye inks are, when it dries, it's going to be very subtle and just provide a nice little bit of shadow rather than turning, like I said, turning it gray. Now the bunny bucket is going to be filled with carrots. I decided to use the carrots only. We are doing all of the same steps as above, except using a different filler. And we are going to put the bow somewhere different on this one. Two reasons. One, we can put the bow at the top of the bunny's quote unquote head. And the other reason, the carrots are a little higher and I felt like the bow would have looked out of place on this one on the handle. I have added the bunny mouth and the bunny nose. I did add a little pink to the bunny nose with the peony color ink. And we are adding the same pink pastel for the cheeks, doing a big circular motion. A couple of other things that I'm going to do different for this bucket in particular. There is a little bunny whisker die that comes in this set. I am not using the bunny whiskers for this bucket. Words are hard. Because I had a different idea, which I'll show you here in a minute. I am going to fill it with grass. I'm going to fill it with carrots, doing the same steps as before, filling the bucket with the grass inked up with a teal ink. I like how that deepens and darkens the little grassy border, but this time we have 5 carrots. We're going to ink them with nutmeg. First to give them that great shading. Then we're going to add the little green toppers to them. And I am going to flip one of the carrots upside down just for added interest. You could fill it with even more if you wanted to. 5 really filled it nicely, so that's what I'm going to go with. I'm again adding the large black pearls for the eyes. You can start to see the bunny face take shape. The ears are attached to the front here. Those are going to be inked with the same fog ink. The insides of the ears with a little peony. And then they're just going to be adhered kind of along this top edge sticking up. These are really the inspiration for these buckets. We see these little buckets all the time out in stores during Easter time that look like they have critter faces on them, especially bunnies. I think bunnies might be the most prevalent, of course, but I think that they just are so sweet and cute. These small detail blending brushes, I don't think I've mentioned yet, also come in super handy for this when you want to control the amount of ink you're applying, especially on small pieces. I cannot recommend them enough. I have really been finding myself utilizing them more and more lately because they just limit how much ink I am actually applying to an image when I am wanting it to be a little bit more precise and detailed and not just go everywhere. I'm going to kind of tilt my bunny ears here. I think you could also kind of have them droop down each side if you wanted to, which would be another very, very cute look. But I'm going to have mine sticking up. And then once I kind of have the bunny put together, this is when I'm going to start doing the carrots. I'm only going to show inking up maybe 1 or 2 of them, and just know that the rest are all going to be inked exactly the same. I have mentioned this before, but I often like to use something darker for inking on oranges and reds. In this case, the nutmeg ink on orange. It is going to dry a lot lighter than what it goes on. However, it provides really nice depth and dimension where a regular orange on orange or an orange ink on orange cardstock might just fade in and you wouldn't even notice that you did it. Adding that teal to the green toppers. Now I'm only going to do 4 because the other one is going to be tipped upside down. I know I inked up another one. I'm just going to save that for another project. I'll just put it into the storage envelope that I keep all of my dies and stamps in. And that way the next time I pull this out, I already have one done. I wasn't really thinking about the fact I wanted one upside down. There is no point in adhering that when it's never going to be seen. It will be sandwiched between the front of the treat box and my candy bucket. Okay, so let's go ahead and attach these to the front of our bucket, get our white treat box, and we're going to assemble it just like before by folding it, gluing up the sides, and adding the handles and the back piece. However, quickly, before I do that, I almost forgot. I did realize it would be much easier to add the embellishing before I put this on a dimensional treat bag. And remember the whiskers. I have not die cut those because I'm actually opting not to use those today. And we're going to take some latte twine from Lawn Fawn, and we are going to put little lines of glue on the front of our bucket over the cheek area. I need to put some little white dots first. And I am going to cut teeny tiny lengths of this twine and place it as dimensional whiskers. You guys, this might be my new favorite way to add little whiskers. This twine is so skinny and cute. And if you want to add just a fun little decorative touch, it's kind of along the lines of the onyx pearls for eyes, where it just adds something very dimensional and cute to your project. So I'm kind of very carefully attaching and then snipping them to length. So I have glue on the bucket. I am pressing the twine into the glue with the tip of my tweezers and then just snipping. And then I do want to make sure that these dry really well. It works so easy. This actually was so much easier than I thought it was going to be. And look how cute our bunny face is. Now the other big difference from the chick, which I could go back and add these to the chick if I wanted to, I gave our bunny some eyelashes with a black fine tip pen. I do often like to add some little eyelashes for character. I think it's a really fun way to dress up faces on our critters. Look at those whiskers. Aren't they the cutest thing? Oh, I love them so much. Here is our bucket all full. And we're going to go ahead and add that cute little pink bow. And remember, I'm adding this to the top of the bunny head for this one instead of the basket handle, because you can see that those carrots go pretty high up, and I thought it filled in this area right down here nicely. You could add in some jelly beans if you wanted to, or even mix in some eggs, but I just love this. I think it turned out so cute. Let's add the back of our basket just like before, adding the handles to the bucket piece. And then we're just going to glue this right to the back of our treat box. You can see that it stands up just fine without it, but I do think it adds just a little bit more of a balanced look and effect. Going to make sure that that's on there good, and we'll set it aside to dry. Now, I did notice I should have added some extra white highlights, not just to the cheeks that I had already done. So again, While it's already dimensional, I did go in and add in some little highlights to where the little stitching lines are on the carrots, the insides of the ears, the bow, and the tops of the carrots as well. Just a little something to dress it up. This would be adorable on the front of a card base, just as is, with a fun little greeting. And here are those little eyelashes, which I think instantly transform the face. So cute. We're going to do our sheep next. I've die cut the bucket and the treat box or treat bag, all from Lawn Fawn Fog Cardstock, a very nice light gray. And I did opt to use a much bigger blending brush for the front of my treat or my candy bucket, pardon, for this one. I want to make the sheep's face a little bit darker than the rest of the design, and I'm achieving this by using Earl Positively Saturated ink over that fog cardstock. Then on the white pieces, the ears and the sheep's head, I am using the white cardstock inked with the fog color of ink. Then we're going to attach these two pieces to the front of the bucket. We will take pastel pink ink for the cheeks, just like before. And then there is a different piece for the nose-mouth combo for this that definitely gives it that sheep face. So look how cute this is. I'm just going to adhere this. I do find adding the mouth, I don't have to have the eyes on yet, but adding the mouth helps give me a guide of where I want to actually pinken those cheeks and put that in place. Adding just a little shading to the white areas. They still look white against the gray of the bucket, but it just softens them a little bit and gives them that depth and dimension that we love. Now, I think all things, being equal, I suppose, the sheep is the least exciting until we start filling the bucket. And really that kind of goes for all of the critters. They really kind of look much cuter the more you add inside of the bucket. And we're going to have some fun here because cute florals come with this Easter bucket additions set, and we're going to fill this bucket with florals and some eggs. We're going to do another little fun combo. This adds a great pop of color, and it really makes the little sheep bucket so adorable cute. And of course, those pastel pink cheeks always add so much. We're going to use the black onyx pearls for the eyes again. I will add eyelashes to this sheep as well. We're using up those big pearls here. And we're going to do our grass the same. We'll ink up the eggs the same. But I have die cut both of the stem leaf combos from this Easter Bucket Editions set. Then I've done 3 tulips and more of like, I don't know, maybe it's a little daisy or something, a little yellow flower. I'm actually going to cut 2 of those and layer them. But we are going to ink all of them with some ink to give them that nice little shading, depth, and dimension. I'm not going to add shading to the handles of this bucket. I don't really think it needs it. I think it's going to be cute as is. I only did it for the bottom portion to kind of make the face pop. You could add it if you wanted to, but I decided not to. All right, we're going to kind of speed through inking up all of the rest of these pieces. It's very much the same. I've linked all of the colors I've used down in the description below. You can see I've already added the grass to my bucket. And as I ink up each individual piece, I'm going to start adding them in. So I have an egg already in place. I've got my light mermaid blue egg that I'm going to ink up with the teal ink, but I've also got a peacock cardstock tulip that I'm going to ink up with that same color to balance out on the other side. Going for lots of color here. So we're utilizing 2 shades of pink, 2 shades of aqua or teal, orange, yellow, and green. Really adding and pulling in the color. One of the stems, I think is all I did, is in the front. The rest are going to be back behind the greenery. Again, I assembled everything in the bucket prior to assembling this to the treat box so that all of the ends of this would be hidden down in between the two layers. This would be absolutely adorable on the front of a card base as well. Or I think even cute if you want to make some sort of a home decor piece. You could line up these and frame them, put them in a frame. How cute would that be? And then either use some big alphabet dies, or if you have an electric die cutter, you could cut some sort of fun spring saying, and you could make like a framed piece for your wall with these. I feel like these are such a nice big size that there's a lot of room for some very creative endeavors with this outside of cards or treat bags and baskets and tags and all of that good stuff. Even a large scale tag with this bucket on the front, or you could even just leave the bucket flat. Maybe do the bucket pieces back to back and the handle pieces back to back. And this could be tags on Easter baskets. Oh my gosh, I just thought of that. I think that would be absolutely darling as well. Very fun and cute, customized to each individual kiddo. Filling in all of my little flowers. Look at all of the color. Isn't this the cutest? I mean, these flowers just used on their own with the eggs or the carrots or the jelly beans, also adorable. I just can't get over, I like the size and scale of these. So often we have lots of little pieces. You guys know I'm here for all of the little die cut pieces, but I'm loving these as well. For my flower center, I noticed I'd forgotten to add it for my yellow flower, but when it die cuts the center, so I just inked it up, and I think that will be perfect. Utilizing all my die cuts, no need to die cut anything extra. We will take a white pen, add detail to everything so that it coordinates back to the other treat baskets, and then we are going to assemble the rest of this basket just like the other two. Thank you guys so much for joining me for today's video featuring how to turn the absolutely adorable Easter candy bucket additions into little treat baskets using Pretty Pink Posh die sets. The supplies I used to create these baskets are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Thank you all so much for joining me for another video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye! Thank you so much for joining me today for another paper crafting tutorial. I love being able to share with this incredible community of crafters. I want to give a huge shout out and special thank you to my amazing Patreon members. If you're interested in joining Patreon, please click the link in the description underneath the video here on YouTube. Patreon is a private community where you can support more of what I do. There is exclusive content, information, and behind-the-scenes content. Top-tier members will receive a handmade birthday card during your birthday month, access to D-Stash, and monthly exclusive lives, plus so much more. We would love to have you join our growing community.